What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll Gypsy Diaries. I'm your host, Andy Thunders, the Rock and Roll Gypsy himself, and I've got two of my dear friends that I've known for so long, and we're finally getting down. I've got Shawn and Nick from Pitch Black Sunrise, a fantastic band that I've been plugging for the last 2 years off of a 4-song EP because it's just that damn good. How are you guys?
All right.
Good. Yeah, man. Stoked to be here, dude.
So obviously COVID fucked up a lot of your shit there, but tell me about the beginnings of the band before the EP, the writing of the songs, what your influences were, and what your main idea was coming together as a group. And whoever wants to go first, you go ahead.
When, Shawn and I were actually in a band prior to Pitch Black called Shades of Burn. That's actually where we met. Going back actually to the days of MySpace. This is how long me and him have been working together, you know.
Wow.
And he played guitar in that band for a little while, and you know, eventually bands break up or whatever, and everybody went their separate ways. My wife was in the band too at the time, and she didn't want to do original music anymore, but I wanted to keep playing original. I had a lot of stuff that, you know, I had written and I wanted to keep going. So I started band building, you know, looking for people, putting ads up and whatever. And I put up an ad telling them about the bass player I am, my influences, this and that. And believe it or not, the first hit that I got on that ad was Shawn. Shawn, take it from there, I guess.
Yeah. So he's like, is this you? And I'm like, yeah. And so during that time, Nick and I had been listening to a bunch of the same music, the newer stoner stuff, and didn't even know it because. So first of all, I know Nick for 17 years. We always toss music back and forth. Is it listen to this? That's shit, or oh, this is really fucking cool, or whatever. So he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, let's, you know, we said stoner doom, so let's try that. I still to this day, I don't know if I still consider us a stoner doom band, but those influences are definitely there. And Nick will disagree with me here, but so we had a
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we had a handful of songs that we were like writing towards the end of the Shades of Burn era. So most of the EP are those songs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Except maybe one. I mean, there's only 4 songs on it. I think just the Jester was the only one we wrote together.
Yeah, Jester. I had a bunch of riffs for Jester, and when Shawn and I first started talking, that was one of the first things I showed to him, and he was like, "Yeah, sounds good. You're on the right track with that." Yeah. And we started working off of that. And
that's probably my favorite on them.
Everybody seems to say that, like, and we haven't played it live in a while, and we keep getting a lot of like, "Hey, where's Jester? Where's Jester?" So I think when we finally get back out there, we may have to roll that back into the live set. But yeah, so that was like pretty much the basis of everything we started was off of Jester, and I think Demons was probably the second song. Rites, oh no, it was Rites of Spring was the second one. You had that already. Yeah. Then we had Demons, and How Far We Fall was the last one that kind of came together on that. And
so really, we had a bunch of songs like in the can and ready to go. So that's what we used to start the band with.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just built it from there. So all the songs that came after were okay. This is kind of a transition where we were. This is where we are now. So let's write to the future. So, you know, eventually when you hear the record,
I can't wait.
Probably in a couple months. You'll see that transition happening. It's still us, but it's going to sound completely different.
Okay.
And if and you haven't seen us live, but we've been playing a lot of these songs live for years.
Yeah,
there's only a couple that no one's ever seen before.
Yeah.
But you know, people have been saying, you know, when are we going to hear this? When are we going to hear this? I mean, we've been playing this song called 3 Days now for what, 6 years, and we're finally getting around to record it.
Nice.
Yeah, 3 Days was written right after we had released the EP. Like literally, we started writing on new material, and that came together in a couple of days. Like we really banged that one out, and we were like, well, we got to put this in the live set, man. This song is hot, you know?
Yeah. I can't wait to hear it. I mean, I unfortunately, like we mentioned before we started taping, I live so damn far away from where you guys really play a lot. So, you know.
Yeah, but if the
So,
kid was
so
right,
I will say we should probably touch on this. Me and Nick have had issues with drummers.
I've noticed it's like Spinal
Yeah.
Tap almost.
It is the Spinal Tap
I
of
was-
drummers.
Well,
And
I was
I
just
don't think it's
saying that
us.
we are like,
yeah,
we are drummer cursed. We're drummer cursed. It is, it's true. We've been through what, 3 regular members, and the amount of auditions that we've had is nauseating. It's just insane how many people have come down, and it's just like, it's brutal. Like, I'm not gonna shit talk, I don't want to do that, but if you know you're auditioning for a band and they've made it very clear they have an established catalog, and they give you 2-3 songs, and you've got 2 or 3 weeks before you come down to audition, but then you show up and you can't play, like, you know, so what the hell, you know? So that's a lot of what we've been experiencing. It's sort of like somebody said to me, it's like trying to find a drummer is like dating after 40, you know?
yeah,
I don't know, it's
I
tough,
can
man, it
honestly
really
say
is.
that not having a drummer or knowing any drummers, or in my case, in my area, any musicians locally really worth a shit, you know, that's what stopped me from really doing anything actively musically as well. So I completely get it,
Yeah.
you know.
It's tough. I mean, I'm lucky because like working with Shawn, like we get each other musically very well. I mean, we're also very good friends. I mean, I was the best man at his wedding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're very close, and that does actually add or help the writing process. You know, we get each other musically very well. Like, you know, he
Yeah.
knows where I'm coming from. I know very rarely do we look at each other and go, what the fuck is that, dude? You know what I mean? So like that, you know, well, no,
Unless it's
He's
live
laughing.
and you do something weird.
you know, you learn to trust each other after a while, even if it's kind of a far out idea. Okay, you know what? I know him. I trust him, and you know, it 99% of the time it works really well. You know, and that 1% that it doesn't, it's just something that needed to be worked out. Maybe it wasn't, you know, oh yeah, that's a better way of looking at it. You know, that kind of thing. But I don't think we've ever fought. Have we ever really had a band like a, you know, we've never had anything like that. You know, we never had issues like that. So
That's always a
that
good
somebody
thing.
worked out. Yeah.
You know?
yeah.
So luckily we know a whole network of musician friends, especially in like the Westchester area. So we have some help. We had some help the first time we recorded. So the original drummer on the EP was a friend of ours, Mike May, who's one of those drummers that can just come in and no matter what genre it is, he just knocks it out of the park. He
Yeah,
literally
definitely
took our
has-
stuff and he did it perfect.
Yeah, man. Like I didn't even realize at first before I really started talking to Nick that was just a session guy, because
Yeah.
he just had so much groove. It's like he could like get inside the music and really make it, you know, groovy.
I know you're not the biggest fan, but the guy that was on the EP played in the Tool tribute band, and he
well, that's
played in the
cool.
Queensryche tribute band. So if
I mean,
that gives you the caliber of musician that he
Yeah.
is.
well, no, respect is respect. I mean, I might not like Tool, but I know they're probably not the easiest band to play musically. And drums, I can't even play drums, so I can't even begin to, you know, pass judgment there. So, you know,
Yeah.
but
So we were,
um,
sorry, man.
no, you're fine.
So we were working with somebody pretty steadily, and we thought he was, you know, we finally found our third, you know, our family member, but unfortunately it didn't work out. He had, he ran his own business. He had, you know, those types of commitments, and, you know, we're realistic about it. Like it wasn't a whole, you know, FU back and forth and who walked out and that kind of thing. It was just, you know, listen, I can't make the commitment to this thing the way that I want to, and it's not fair to you too. And he bowed out, which was cool. You know, I mean, it left us a little
I mean,
deflated. Like,
honestly and respectfully, you know,
Yeah.
rather than just flaking out.
right. Yeah, no, he was very upfront about everything, and it was very cool, you know.
Yeah.
But then, me and Shawn are like looking at each other like, fuck, now what? So, and that's where we got an old friend of mine, who I played in bands with since probably 1990. And he was the original drummer in Shades of Burn. And we've been friendly ever since. And hold on, my cat is crawling on me. Say hi. Hello. Okay, down. Anyway, so I had just done a show with him back in September of 2019 for his birthday, where we got some of the old bands together to do some songs on stage at a show at a bar that he had set up. It was his 50th birthday, so he wanted to do this. It was really special. My wife came back and she sang some songs, and it was really cool. It was a good time. But then that night I said, wow, he's still got his chops,
Yeah.
And when the thing went on with our drummer that we had, I was thinking, well, what the hell are we going to do? So I talked to Shawn and I was like, hey, listen, I'm going to give Fred a call. His chops are there. The guy is a workhorse. Like, if you ask him for A, B, and C, he's going to give it to you in capital letters, and he really put the work in, learned our material, and he's going to be the guy that's doing the drums for the album.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you don't have a commitment for him to actually join the band then.
No, unfortunately, he lives pretty far away, so it wouldn't really be convenient for him, But he's
got his own stuff going on too. So
yeah, he's got his own band.
Well, that's cool. That'll do it for you.
Yeah, and it's a good situation because it's like, and Freddie's been really great. He's like, guys, if you find a drummer in the interim, take him.
Yeah.
Because we actually, and he'll admit that because of COVID, he wasn't playing. And we got him kind of back into his chops. He's like, this is great. This is a great workout for me. It's a different music that I'm used to playing. Our music's not easy.
No.
So it was great for him to come in and just grind these out. And it's funny. He has a notebook and he writes stuff in there. It's like, okay, there's a change here. And I know when Shawn hits the wah, I gotta step it up.
He makes his own charts, which is pretty fun. It's pretty cool,
Yeah.
But I mean, again, this is the level of professionalism that this guy has. And I knew that, he's 110%. If you get him involved in your project or your band or whatever, he's the guy he's a half an hour early. He's that guy, he's going to give you 110%,
That's awesome.
And I knew that too. If he said yes, we're good, and he was, and it's going, I don't want to say better than I expected. It's going as well as I expected, but I'm also happily surprised at some of the stuff that he brought with his own musicianship to it, which was really cool. Because we had said, if you want to put your own stamp on certain things too, man, that's cool. And he did. And he did it real well with a lot of taste,
Well, when you're
you'll hear it.
When you're a musician of your guys' caliber, you already know what someone's about, but you also seem to not have that ego where you're like, oh, you have to play it this way or this. No, play, man. That's why I got you on this or got you in the band, because you like to hear them play, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, when we write the material, it's like we have an idea.
Yeah.
Because we don't play drums either.
Yeah.
It's like you're still writing the drums. We have a kind of an idea of what we want to hear. What with the flair and the beats and everything, that's on you.
Yeah, like the fills and stuff.
Yeah.
But we're not one to say you have to play it like this.
Yeah.
Because then it's not a band. Then it's two guys and a guy we're hiring, and we don't want that.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, and we said that
doing several interviews. I'm going to call that the Blackie Lawless syndrome.
A lot more than Blackie Lawless like that, but that's true, man. For me, it's funny because I'll usually write lots of riffs. Okay, this is the verse, this is the chorus. I got an idea for a bridge or a breakdown or a transition, an outro, and I'll kind of have a rough framework. Where Shawn comes in with more really structured pieces. He'll record everything start to finish, pretty much organized, where I'm pretty much just learning the riffs and throwing my stuff in there. So, but it's a very open it's a very open kind of band for a musician that works with me and Shawn is like, you know, we encourage everyone to bring, you know, everything that they have to the music. And like he said, not, all right, you know, play it like this or else. And it's like, no, man, you know, experiment, open yourself up, you know, like this is a great opportunity to really show your chops. You know, we'll tell you if it's too much. You know, Shawn tells me if I'm overplaying, you know, things like that. So, but we
But
really
like,
just
like at the
encourage
same time,
everybody.
you still have to know our music and know the genre too. So
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you can't be a jazz drummer and come in and play with us. You can't be a rock and roll drummer and come and play with us.
No,
You got to figure out what we're about, and then that's where, you know, you can find your niche.
I mean, I've been
Yeah.
joking with Nick for a while, but it's a half joke. If you guys ever need a second guitarist, I can make the transition and move up there.
So it's a funny thing. I've been wanting a second guitarist now.
Yes, Nick has told me.
Yes.
Here we go.
And I get opposition constantly because so when I write the guitar parts, I write for a 2-guitar band.
Yeah, I can tell, and you almost kind of, I get the argument on both sides, okay? But from listening to the EP, for Shawn to be able to sing and play, I think a lot without so much pressure, because there's other people who have had that, but it's not even that. The amount of musical dexterity in your band almost requires an extra layer in the background when Shawn's singing. It's
Because
not taking away from you at all.
I'm a huge 70s guy. You hear
So
that
am
when
I.
play. And
Me too. Me too. But
what
my
I always loved
problem,
about 70s recording is 2 guitars
Mhm.
and hard panning left and right.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite Kiss songs is Cold Gin. And if you listen to that
Yes.
song, you got Ace on one side and you got Paul on the other, and they're
Mhm.
playing the riff. They're playing the same riff, but they're playing it slightly different. And then when you hear
Yeah.
that in the headphones, it's like, holy fuck.
When I was
So-
learning how to play Strutter, I realized that for some reason when they mixed that, it was harder for me to tell who was playing what. So when I watched a live video, I'm like, so if I play lead, I have to dance around for 30 seconds. Bam, 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 bam. But it was worth it for the solo.
Now, listen,
know?
I'm not opposed to it. I really enjoy being a power trio. I've never said no, but again, you know, we got to find the right guy or girl. You know, I shouldn't say guy, you know, like the right person, the right musician.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
right
Like,
person.
if you've got the chops, hey, you know, but you know, Shawn will tell you too. Like, have we ever had anybody in mind that would have worked out that doesn't live 400,000 miles away?
I know.
Shawn, you there? No,
Yeah.
kind of lost you for a second.
I mean,
But,
we,
you know,
we fucked
Like I
around with
said,
loopers and
I'd be
stuff.
able to make the move if I had a gig.
Andy, I would love it. I think we probably wouldn't even get any work done because we'd be talking about music so damn much we wouldn't even pick up the guitars, man.
Well, you know, it would be some, you know, I play guitar. I love the guitar, but
I hear you. Dude, I could sit around and talk about music with you for 10 hours, man. You know what I mean? So,
well, yeah, because we love it. That's what we do. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
but I really dig your style and I get what you're about. And to answer your question, I don't necessarily think, I mean, if this means anything, the traditional sense of Doom Stoner, I don't think you sound like the rest of the bands, which is not a bad thing. I would say
No.
that you have more, you're definitely more, you straddle the line between the stoner rock and the doom a lot more so than other bands, because there definitely is a thick metallic sound to you, but you've also got, like, How Far We Fall is, you know, slightly grungy and very floaty, psychedelic, yet dark, you know. So there's
I hear a
different
little bit of-
elements you've got going on, you know.
I hear a little bit of prog in some of the stuff we do too.
Yeah, that's probably why I like Broken Jester so much. When you break into that freaking bass riff in the middle with the wah, I'm like, yeah.
Can I
You know,
tell
that's
Or
actually-
going over top, that's just like, dude, yeah.
Can I
You know
tell
what's funny?
that
Broken
that
Jester, a
song-
lot of people always ask me about that. And it's like, that's actually not a wah. It's actually a phase shifter on the bass at the end
Okay.
there.
Could have
Yeah, yeah. A lot
The
of
way
people
it
think it's a
sounds
wah
sick.
though. It's got that sound, you know.
Can I tell you that song took us forever to write?
I'd imagine because everything has its perfect place. So I imagine it had some trial and error.
Yeah. So that was one of those. So like Nick said, we write. So it's either Nick writes riff on the bass and says, come up with guitar parts, or I come up with a whole song, then bring it to the band. And then there's the on the fly songs that the band writes together. Like we have one that's coming out on the record that we wrote as an ensemble. And it's one of those songs that just came together in like, a couple practices.
That's cool.
But that particular song, which I love that song to this day. And yeah, but that took a long time to put together.
Well, you got to let the idea ferment for it to really.
Yeah.
I lost you there for a minute, guys. What happened?
It's
you're
you.
good.
It ain't us.
It's totally you, and usually it's me. This is pleasing.
I think it was my my Wi-Fi is a little dodgy today. I don't know why. Sorry about that.
Mine's
But,
usually dodgy 92% of the time. There's nothing else available in my town, though. So moving forward, when can we expect the record? And as far as gigs, what do you got planned?
Wow. Shawn, what's our timeline?
So we were trying to record this a little unorthodox, and also trying to save money. So one thing, Andy, that I remembered you guys saying when you critiqued the first record or the EP, it sounded underproduced, and I didn't take that as a slight at all, because
that was more
I,
my now ex co-host. That was one of his things.
Yeah.
I like raw stuff.
Me too, and
I've got shit that sounds like it was recorded in a toilet.
Yeah, I mean, one of my biggest, one of my favorite bands is Grand Funk Railroad, and if you listen to those old records, it's like they stuck three guys in a room and they said, okay, play, and we don't care what happens, and then they put it out and they made millions.
You're talking to a fan of the MC5 and the New York Dolls and the
fucking MC5.
So I get it. My ex co-host was, we'll just leave it at that.
So I will say that this record will sound a little bit more produced, but not too much.
I don't want to sound
again,
like
I don't like overproduction. I don't love a lot of compression. I want to, if you can't listen to a record and then go to and see the band, Soundgarden is one of my favorite bands of all time. See them live and they do not sound like the record. I never wanted to be a band like that.
Agreed.
It's like what you see is what you get. So what you hear on a PBS recording is going to be what you get live.
And that's another thing that I like about the EP and everything, is that you can tell that that's you guys. That's not any studio trickery or bullshit.
No.
It sounds like it was recorded live. It really does, in one take. And I know there were probably parts of it that were, maybe not. Either way, it captured that old spirit where a band actually went in and recorded live in a fucking room.
You have to have that feel, I like to have the connection of being in a room with the guys while we're cutting the scratches and that kind of thing, because I feel like I don't know, it's more organic, you know what I mean? Like, I've been on recordings with other bands where it was very, very cold, and you don't get the best performance out of people that way.
Agreed.
So we're planning on, we tried a couple things. We're recording most of the music at my house, but drums, we want to, so Freddie, who Nick has already talked about, we don't want to high him up too much. So we want to get drums down so we can go and throw music on top. So we're enlisting another friend of ours, Tommy Talata from
East Coast Rednecks.
East Coast Rednecks, which is also a great band out of Westchester. So he's going to help us record the drums, so at least we get a good foundation, and then we'll take that back and throw all our tracks over that. So
Yeah,
hopefully by the end of winter we'll have something ready to go. We don't know yet if we want to get a whole album together and release it, or release singles.
Yeah, that's always the question.
So we'll see.
There'll be some teasers. There'll be some stuff, and I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna get the exclusive. So
just
And
let
if we
me
wanna do
know
some-
when I can or cannot air it on the radio.
If
Just
we want to
let me
do
know.
something on your show, like, here's the first track off the record, let's do an Andy exclusive, we can do that.
I've got Hard Rock Hell Radio that's based out of the UK, and I've got Alloy here. So, I mean, I can get you on both. That's what I'll be working on tomorrow when I get out of work. And yeah, it looks like Zoom's going to make me try to do this. So we'll actually split this in two. As the next record's due out, we'll wrap this up, and then I'll resend you another link and we can start the other conversation if that's cool with you dudes.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll take me a minute to do that, but yeah, we're getting to 7.5 minutes left. It popped up. It's not going to let me do the whole gamut, but we can get around that. So as far as, you're going to release the record, and I guess still look for that continuous search for the drummer.
We're doing it now because we decided that now is the perfect time, so we can finish the record and then we can also break in a new drummer.
Nice.
So by midwinter, spring, we're ready to gig again.
Awesome.
So it's out there. So we need a drummer and we need one.
And I'll give you a little bit. So it's the title is going to be The Sorrow of Light.
Nice.
That's definitely the title. And there's a title track song called The Sorrow of Light that's going to be on there. It's quite an epic piece. And like Shawn was saying before, it's heavy, that's got more of a doom feel than pretty much anything we've ever done too, which is great because I love that stuff. So
yeah, I do too, obviously.
And I guess, we're looking at a spring, summer release tentatively. If everything goes well, maybe a little sooner. If everything doesn't go well, maybe a little longer. I don't know. We'll definitely talk again about it. But, that's our timeline right now. But the music's written. It's just a question of getting everything together, logistically and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, guys. I can't wait to hear the new stuff. And I guess in closing here, to end this part of this now 2-part exclusive with you guys, what is it that you guys love about music that keeps you going at the end of the day?
Yeah, Shawn.
There's no right or wrong answer.
It's like, what? I grew up with music. I had 2 older sisters that were into music. So I have a lot of family members that are in the music business. I worked at Sony for 6 years. I met a lot of folks. Music's just ingrained in me. It's a hobby. It's a pleasure. It's soundtrack. It's the soundtrack of your life. I can listen to shit from the 80s that when I was in the 80s, I was like, why am I listening to this? And now it's like, it brings me right back there.
Yeah.
So hard question to answer, but
For me, it was, I started out like pretty much everybody else from my generation as a hardcore Kiss fan. I was in the Kiss Army. Then I started from there discovering all the great, 70s hard rock bands like obviously Sabbath, Rush, Zeppelin, Foreigner. I loved Foreigner, man. Some of those early Foreigner records are insanely good. Bad Company, and then
Maybe they were like the 70s Def Leppard, where their first couple were good and then they lost the plot.
But yeah, like Shawn said, it's a soundtrack, and I wanted to play guitar, and I'll be honest with you, like the first time that I saw the Led Zeppelin Song Remains the Same video, the movie, I was like, that's it. I wanted to be Jimmy Page with that low slung Les Paul with a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. I thought that was the coolest goddamn thing I'd ever seen in my life, you know?
Mhm.
But I wasn't really good on guitar. Like, it wasn't for me. And there was a jam session one time and nobody played bass and there was a bass. So I said, all right, well, I'm the worst guitar player. You know, I knew like 2 chords, you know, all these other guys were shredding and shit. And I'm like, all right. But when I picked up the bass, I felt like I was home. And it's been a lifelong passion of mine ever since, you know, to just be the greatest bass player I could be, you know. I was a huge early Who fan, you know, Entwistle,
John Entwistle.
Queen, Jack Bruce used to, you know, all that stuff. And I've been chasing those guys my whole life, you know. But yeah, it's always been a part of me. It's my therapy, you know, it's my outlet. You know, I'll never stop. You know, I'll play until I'm too old to hold it, you know. And even then I'll have somebody hold it for me, I guess. I don't know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's life. Music is life, man. It really is.
I agree. But all right, guys. I guess in closing, thank you very much. It's been an honor. We'll be back here in a second because I'm too cheap to pay for special Zoom privileges. So if you like what we're doing here, interviewing bands like Pitch Black Sunrise and many others, Blaine Cook of The Accused, and I had Paul Soldier and Daniel House on, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and leave a comment for them. Check out their music and keep an eye out for the new record. Until next time, I'm Andy Thunders, and this has been Shawn and Nick from Pitch Black Sunrise. Thank you, guys. Take it easy. We'll be
Later.
back.